for any stage in your legal journey, whether it's LSAT, law school, taking the bar, practice, 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 practice. And I cannot overstate the importance of practicing, just being able to test yourself, test your theories, applications, everything. And like you mentioned, my story is similar to yours, my LSAT journey, where the first time I took it, I got, I think I got like a 147, and I was just beside myself. And I was like, oh my God, like and you have to understand that when you're a person who's used to getting good grades and you think you're so smart and like all this stuff, and then you get something that's beneath what you feel like your quality is, it was very hard for me. And so the biggest difference between me studying the first time and the biggest difference between me studying the second time was, one, the amount of time I put into it, two, the amount of time that I've tested myself, even being section by section, because my strongest section was reading comprehension, and funny enough, it still is. And then my weaker sections were logical reasoning, and what's the other one? Analytical reasoning. And so I found those to be very challenging, but again, like you mentioned, with practice, you can definitely get better and improve your score. And also taking more full length exams. And I don't think a lot of students do that because, one, they don't see the value in taking up a day, like 3 hours or what have you, to practice the exam, but it's so necessary. Like even taking the bar, you have to do it one time. You just have to. You cannot, in my opinion, get a good score without practicing, unless you're like super genius. Some people don't, and they have great scores, but like, the rest of us that are just like barely hanging on, like you have to, it's necessary.
Yeah. Those people, they're so frustrating, but they're also really rare. I think most people, they take a cold diagnostic like you and I, and they bomb it compared to where they ultimately wanted to be. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so I actually don't recommend taking those cold diagnostics because they're just morale killers. Then they're discouraging. They simply tell you that you haven't studied the LSAT yet, but you already know that. You still got to learn pretty much everything, especially the analytical reasoning, the logic games. Those are so intimidating for people at first, myself included. Pre-law folks, how comfortable are you with things like math and puzzles, right? It doesn't always come that naturally.
I'm like, why does this even matter? That was my whole thought. I'm like, why does this even matter? Like, who honestly cares?
Right. But the thing is that they are actually really learnable. And so if you just trust that, you know what, this is really hard at the beginning, it sucks, but if you keep at it, you will improve significantly, especially on games. The fact that you were already good at reading comp is awesome because that's a lot harder to improve significantly on than games is. I also love what you said about the practice test because I wouldn't do a cold diagnostic, but I would do a lot of exams once you've already built the foundation in the lead up to test day. I recommend at least 10 to really get that rhythm down with the pacing and the endurance. Thanks for tuning into the show. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already to be notified of new episodes as I release them. And feel free to reach out if you need anything at all as you move forward with your prep. I'm happy to help however I can. In the meantime, I wish you all the best and take care.